Now to the poor, ugly, immigrant-packed outskirts of Paris in France, both the setting of a newly translated novel by the French author Mounsi and the place where Mounsi himself grew up, having left his native Algeria as a small child. Mounsi's novel was originally published in French as La Noce des Fous in 1990, one of a growing number of books by French writers of North African origin. Now translated as The Demented Dance, it uses almost mythic language, imagery and rhythms to tell the essentially brutal story of young Tarik struggling to survive among the shantytowns, wasteland and tower blocks that circle the Paris of tourist brochures. Tarik's harsh existence takes a turn for the worse when, with a gang of other teenage boys, he becomes involved in a burglary that horrifyingly ends as murder.
In the mirror above the fireplace, by the light of the night that filtered through the half-drawn curtains, I saw my face petrified with terror. The cold went right through my back. I felt a sharp pain in my neck. My gaze met the dead man's. Beneath his reddish-blue, cold eyelids, his fish eyes stared at me through viscous liquid. His demise, heralding my own, ensured the worst possible fate lay in store for me. The lips of the corpse seemed to smile at me ironically, as if he knew his death would kill our lives.
Mounsi, the hero of your novel, Tarik, when he's just 13, he's a thief, he's violent, he's been implicated in a murder, and you persuade us that that was inevitable, given the life he's had. So I wonder if you'd start by describing for listeners the kind of childhood that Tarik had that made it inevitable that he would go to the bad like that.
Dans certaines enfances pauvres, très pauvres.
In certain very poor childhoods, random events can reach the status of Greek tragedy. There is something in true poverty, not there when one lives a full life, which is like a line of destiny, and there's something in Tarik's life and childhood which had to lead him to the tragic act of murder.
Du meurtre.
Is it just poverty that's the force that's driving Tarik?
C'est plus que ça.
It's more than that. All poor people do not commit murder, and do not reach extremes like that. A few individuals do achieve a kind of perfection in evil, success in wrongdoing, because their values are the complete reversal of the normal world's morality.
Du monde de la moralité classique.
And this childhood of Tarik, this poor childhood, a childhood at which he finds his values the opposite of those of the majority culture, how close was that to your own childhood?
C'est une sorte de miroir.
It's a kind of mirror, the character of Tarik, but one of those distorting mirrors in a funfair that makes you big or small or fat. A writer, in a way, writes like Francis Bacon paints, and Tarik is a kind of distorted self-portrait of what my life was.
Tarik est un autoportrait déformant de ce que fut ma vie.
I know you share one thing in common with Tarik, which is that in your novel, Tarik, when he's a young teenager, is sent to an institution for young offenders, and there he discovers the poetry of François Villon, the 15th century French poet. And you have said about that, it is Villon that saved me. I wonder if you could explain what you mean by that.
Mon père était un travailleur immigré, analphabète.
My father was an immigrant worker who was illiterate. I myself had only 4 or 5 years of school. When I discovered Villon in a remand home, I felt it was as though the book had been put there for me. At 13.5 years old, I had the intuition, on reading the Ballad of the Hanged Men, that someone, not one of the guards, had put it there for me to read. It was a crossing of the centuries, because I received the poem like an electric shock, where I saw myself in the Middle Ages. It was as though I'd crossed over. Villon came to me, and I went to him. And when I was told that Villon had been a thief, I was sure someone had put the book there.
So you didn't know that at the time, that Villon was a thief, that he was accused of violent crimes?
Pas du tout, je l'ai découvert après avoir lu.
Not at all. I didn't know that until after I'd read him.
So what was it about his poems that attracted you as a 13-year-old?
D'abord, j'ai cru voir une peinture.
At first, I thought I saw a painting in Villon's work, one of those violent Flemish paintings that I did not know at all. It interested me that it seemed you could have a language of extreme purity. Villon seemed to read like a contemporary poet. The Ballad of the Hanged Men is completely modern. Among all the risks that I've learned from in my life of random events and thuggery, the greatest risk of all is the blank page. And so just as I was attracted to risk once, now instead of taking up weapons, I prefer this.
Au lieu de prendre des armes, j'ai préféré ça.
It's the danger of the writing.
Très dangereux.
Very dangerous.
One thing which is very striking about your writing is that, you don't write in Berber, your mother tongue. You don't write in the sort of French slang of the streets, like so many other Maghrebi writers. You write in a very pure, very correct, very elegant, one might almost say stately French. Why do you do that?
J'espérais que ce ne soit pas seulement mes amis de la rue qui puissent lire le livre.
I hoped that it would not only be my friends from the street who would read this book, but the judges who had judged me as an adolescent, and who spoke a French that I did not always understand. Appropriating this language was like stealing the language from those who judged in their own tongue. Stealing that language was like saying I was capable one day of being at the same level of reading and comprehension. That was one reason. The second reason, if you will permit me to quote a coarse saying, the poor must put salt on their turds and gold on their words.
Les pauvres doivent mettre du sel sur la merde et de l'or sur les mots.
Mounsi, the first of whose novels, La Noce des Fous, has just been translated into English by Lulu Norman as The Demented Dance. BlackAmber is the publisher.